Welcome to Rap in Order, the interrogation of a hip-hop album, where we take some of the culture's most beloved hip-hop albums, put them on the stand, see if they stood the test of time. Now let's see who we got on the stand today.
Dun dun.
Welcome to another episode of Rap in Order. I'm First Class Regg.
I'm Taurian B.
We're of course joined by that Aviles guy.
Yo.
And today we're getting into Vince Staples' FM. It's his third studio album released in 2018. It was released and framed as a radio station kind of takeover with like recurring skits on the album. You got some features from Ty Dolla $ign. You got J-Rock on here. I think Kamaya's on here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Kalani.
Kalani's
on here as
Kalani
well.
is on here. And it's short and sweet. It's 11 tracks and a very seamless listen. It has some interesting skits on here. How do we feel about this album?
I love this album. I've been a fan of Vince Staples since he came in together. I was like really intrigued by him because pretty much he treats rap like a real life job. Like he's always like has like the same way. He's like, I just want to buy my mama house, get a car, and like be able to do shit with the homies, as he says. So like, you know, this project was something that like I was like really looking forward to because it was kind of like a metaphor. It was kind of like him trolling us because it was about how most pop music that's black is about us suffering, but it's about celebration. Like Champion, like Bone Thugs Crossroads or something like that. Like it's always like most of the biggest pop songs by black people are songs about suffering. So he was like, all right, I'm just gonna put like these dark ass lyrics over like these happy ass beats, and like just show you like what we're talking about. So like he basically was able to make an album that was an ode to Southern California, Southern fun, but talk about gangbanging.
Yeah,
I just thought that was brilliant.
He's always been good at giving you this California sound, and he doesn't like really go that far from that. Or if he does, you know, the subject matter is a lot different. How'd you feel about it, Danny?
I love this project. I think this is the second project that I got into from Vince Staples. The first one being Big Fish. Mm-hmm. Right? Big Fish was the one before
Big Fish Theory.
Big Fish
Big Fish Theory was the one before this that I got into. I think he did an amazing job. It's been said it's kind of like an ode to radio hits and kind of very playful. As a person whose only experience in the West Coast was very limited, and during COVID, I couldn't, you know, it gave me an idea of, it's one of those albums that gives me an idea of what the West Coast life is like. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that he has other artists play into it and add to the radio takeover feel, like with their interludes when he brings Earl Sweatshirt on or when he brings Tyga on. And I'm not the biggest Tyga fan, but for those few minutes, Tyga did what he had to do. It's very good, and it made me realize the potential Vince actually has. And I think as he's gotten closer to it with his album since, it's still only premiere. Like, he has a lot more to go, and this album completely shows just a glimpse of how much further he can go.
I'm gonna tell you how much he treats like rapping like a job. This album is 20 minutes long, ladies and gentlemen. Album's 20 minutes long. He's in and out. He locked in with Kenny Beats, who is a really dope producer. The first time I heard about Kenny Beats, it was on a Smoke Digit project. And then he went and did a really good project with Denzel Curry. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because I'm not like the biggest, I don't know a lot about Denzel Curry, but the project that he did with Denzel Curry I really like. So
he's another guy that's only getting better.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I agree. And with this project, I like was just like kind of like blown away, like how, like, because he's young, he was born in 90. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, him being into electric funk, like I know that's like a Southern California staple, but him being so young and still having like ties to it, and then knowing to get with Kenny Beats was really smart because Kenny Beats comes from the electro music background. and EDM background. So like I just thought that was brilliant for him to do that for this project. And it's like funny because like, you know, I guess like his mom, you know, probably, well, obviously not probably, grew up in the 80s, and like electro music was big for them back then. So it's kind of like, you know, him just like making like a song that his mom would like and shit. I just think that's dope. I just think it's dope that like he did that with this project and was able to craft it and like really like get it across, and like there aren't like wasted bars. And also seeing him perform live is actually really, really dope too. I saw him perform live at Coachella, and he performed some of this album, and I didn't expect for him to perform with so much energy, and I fully understand why Tyler takes him on tour, because him and Tyler like they have similar energy, and I think that like they just have a vibe, and I believe that like Vince was in the Odd Future camp.
He's kind of he was at one point
came late, right?
But he's like more of an unspoken, unofficial associate. Like,
right, yeah. I didn't mean like the core group, but I mean like he came around and on the back end when shit started getting weird. But like him and Tyler like kind of like kept like a close relationship.
Yeah, I think it was more that scene of when you had
Casey Veggies.
Tyler, I mean, you had all of our Odd Future around, but they were also mixing in with like at the time. I want to say the TDE guys, also the ASAP Mob guys and the Mac Miller guys, and all part of that whole like Mac Miller House of Fun where people would just go and record and feed off of each other's energy. That's why when I heard more of the electric route, he went on this project, I could see, I was like, oh, you definitely were around Tyler a lot. You definitely were around Mac a lot, because you could tell their musical taste complement each other almost. And it's almost like, you know how we are sometimes where we're exchanging music and we try to outdo each other in just our picks on music. They kind of have that same camaraderie, and I feel like their music, especially from 2015 to 2017 and 2018, probably, you know, rest in peace Mac, because Mac passed in 2018, it kind of felt like they all were in an unspoken friendly competition.
Yeah, they were all in that same class.
I felt we hadn't felt since the 90s in hip hop, really. You know, where it's their friends.
Yeah, it was a very different take on it, because it wasn't the take in the 90s that we had was very it was more street, more hood element to it, and like this one was like that later blog era of like
this is
conglomerate.
The hood niggas kids.
Yeah,
it's
of
like
conglomerates and stuff.
What's the member's name of Odd Future that's on Jackass?
That's Jasper.
So like to me, that's like we see Jasper's dad, and you could tell like Jasper's dad is like a hood dude, but like Jasper is a child of what the hood dudes, like their kids. Like their kids probably had like better lives than they did, and didn't have to like really worry about a lot of shit. Like, but they are aware of the gang ties and shit like that. But like they're more fun and they're more worldly.
Yeah,
like, I don't think Jasper's dad will ever be around all of those white guys punch each other in their dicks if it wasn't for his son being more worldly.
Yeah. I mean, also they got on when Jasper. If Earl was 15, Jasper was probably around the same age, 14, 15 when they first got on. You know, so they were literally kids. We've seen this era literally grow since they were kids, especially somebody like Earl.
Yeah. And they've all been super consistent too. That's another thing. But to get into the album off top, you got Feels Like Summer, which is obviously produced by Kenny Beats. Love the feel of this song. Love the Ty Dolla $ign feature. And it really sets the tone, like, because, you know, it's already like a summer mood album, even just from the cover. And this song is such a feel good song. Like it's just great, and it's produced really well.
Yeah, it's a feel-good song. Ty Dolla $ign's is magnificent. And again, the album starts off with this really good production, but these dark-ass lyrics. And he's talking about niggas getting shot. He's talking about, like, it's just, like, it's very dormant. So it's like when you're breaking it down and you hear his tone, it's like you can't even tell it. Like, let's say you're listening to it in the background and you don't, like, go and, like, read the lyrics. Like, you're not, like, He's talking real Crip shit on his project, and I just think that is really dope.
And he always is, too. Yeah. Like, he's always on that type of time.
Here's the thing. I kind of always felt like there's two sides to Summertime for us. You could have the Will Smith moment where you're only talking about, but this is summertime. This is what summer is. This, like, we say it all the time, oh, this summer's going to be hot. Because we know when it gets to it, that's when beefs tend to start cooking over.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's from Long Beach, California,
Yeah.
so like it's happening over there.
He talks about his scope of things a lot. Like he doesn't give the worldly view. He just talks about like the element of like where he's from, and I think the way that he draws other people in that aren't necessarily from his area is with the production and with his flow. Because when you listen to it, he's just telling his story about what he's experienced, because he's still young, mind you. But he's talking about his experience, where he's from. Is very like, it's closed off, but is welcoming with the production and everything else around it.
Yeah.
But it goes into Outside. Outside is produced by Kenny Beats, another fucking banger.
Son, all right, like him and Kenny Beats, like their chemistry is really, really good, right? And I realized that because Kenny Beats, he has a podcast and a YouTube show called The Cave, and he's really popular on Twitch too. So Vince Staples came through, and like basically Vince roasted him for like the first 10 minutes of the episode. Then he goes and while like he's roasting Kenny's like making a beat for him. And so he goes into the booth, and then like Kenny like does like his tag, and then Vince is like, "Oh nigga, you messing me up!" like, and then like Kenny's like, "All right, I'm gonna do the countdown for you." And then they do the countdown, and then Vince gets into it and like does this amazing freestyle, and then afterwards says like, "All right, let's go watch Game of Thrones. I never seen that shit, but Shorty over here says she want to watch it, so let's watch Game of Thrones." I just thought that was dope, like how they just went in there. Like obviously they edited it up, but I just like looking at that, you could tell like they really got in the studio and locked in, and like was cooking together. It wasn't like he was like emailing him beats and nothing like that, or like he got like a beat CD. Like they was crafting shit together.
Everybody that works with Kenny Beats always says like how welcoming it is, and you always see the chemistry too. Because I used to watch the Cave a lot, so I saw Doja Cat on there. I've seen like a lot of big artists on there. Rico Nasty, he has great chemistry with.
Yeah, he had a project with her too. That's dope. You're right.
Yeah, right. So like he's really good at tapping in and like working with people on the spot. I don't even think he does the emailing thing too much. I think he works with people in person. But yeah, so it takes us into Don't Get Chipped, which is produced by Q Beats and Kenny Beats. This one gives me a lot of Kendrick vibes. And then when you listen to, the chorus, it has J-Rock. Yep. So I was like, okay, so maybe that's why it reminds me of Kendrick. But even his flow, though, his flow on this track is kind of is very Kendrick-ish.
I love how he's making music with Bloods. I love that. That's number one. And then I also really feel like if this song made me think about like how like of a troll he is, right? Because remember when Colin Kaepernick was going through all this shit, and Vince Staples was like, "Yo, the Star Spangled Banner don't even slap like that." And then like people was fucking with him so much, he got so much backlash like that he made a GoFundMe that said, "Get off my dick," and if you get it to $2 million, I'll never speak again.
That shit was great, and it didn't make it.
Yeah,
and then he released a song called
like,
"Get Off My Dick."
Yeah, Get Off My Dick. Like, and I just think like that was so cool. And hearing this song, don't get like you hear it, and it's like it just. I guess for me, it's just a mind fuck, because you hear these songs and it's just like with the way that it's going, you can fit in really happy lyrics in there, but they're not. I can't get over that shit.
You know what's funny? There's something about him and the way he handles more of his media presence outside of music, and then how he approaches music, not quite his music style. There's a very fuck you-ness about it.
Absolutely.
That it's fuck you, I'm going to do what I want to do, and you're going to enjoy it, and I'm going to just be this character and do what I want and say how I feel and just kill whatever I do. There's something about it that's like it's a gangster version of Bino to me sometimes, of Childish Gambino, with how he's like they're two sides of a coin, of the same coin almost, where he's just a little more aggressive and crip with his approach.
I think because he's from Long Beach. I agree with you, absolutely. And like his videos are also really good, and he's highly hyper intelligent. So a lot of the times, like even like the things that he talks about being in the music industry, I highly doubt we'll ever hear about Vince Staples being broke. Yeah,
there's also a great awareness, to a self-awareness that he has.
Yeah.
Like there's a recent interview where he's like, he doesn't invite his friends or anybody to his house. And
well, I mean, that niggas from Long Beach, niggas be robbing people.
Oh yeah. But he's like, he don't even get Uber Eats delivered to his house. Like he don't invite women to his house.
So I think things like that, because I love Vince Staples, even outside of the music, and a lot of people are familiar with his stuff outside of the music, like his interviews, I mean. So like he's a very entertaining guy, but I think things like that, where it's somewhat, I feel like it's somewhat truth and somewhat trolling, but then also like it's entertainment, but then it just pulls away from people focusing on his music because he's so like a character in his interviews. So like when he has these good interviews, it takes away from his music. And I think that's interesting because
that sucks for him.
Yeah, because
well, I mean, he don't really give a fuck.
Some people have these great interviews and it feels like people looking up their catalog, but for him, he has these great interviews and people just focus on those because they go viral on Twitter.
You know somebody who that does it for? I think every time Kodak Black has an interview, he gets a new fan.
Yeah,
for his music.
It's interesting because like this album came out in 2018. Around the same time, he had that interview on Coachella with Nadeska, where he talked about R. Kelly. And he was like, yo, fuck that. Like, he was like, yeah. And she was like really uncomfortable with him talking about R. Kelly. And that was before that was like a really, really big thing. So it was on the brink of that, but that took away all the shine from this project and this doing numbers and this being really big for him.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think in that time period, for this, whereas I feel like it's the opposite now. I feel like who he's been when, like, for example, you hear him on the Joe Budden podcast randomly. You'll hear him randomly, and like recently he spoke about his relationship with Mac. I feel like now, fast forward, it's kind of helped him more. I feel it's brought more awareness to him. I think so because I've gotten asked by more people that don't listen as much as we do. Are they like, yo, should I listen to this Vince? Yeah, like I think it brings
more people
awareness.
Just follow him on social media.
I think
and watch his interviews. I don't think more people are listening to it.
Yeah, I think more people are getting curious though because his turnaround time now is a lot quicker. Because like he came out with his self-titled album like 6-7 months ago, and then now he has Ramona Park Broke My Heart that came out like right after.
I don't even think it was that long, 6-7 months ago.
Probably not.
I think it's at most 3 months.
Maybe something like that.
I feel like
also trying to get out of that fucking Def
But
Jam.
he came out right after, and both of those albums were really good. So I think he's getting more eyes on him the more he releases.
With Snoop now at the helm of Def Jam, I'd like to see what him and Snoop can cook up with because if you pay attention to Snoop now especially, Snoop is way more savvy in presentation and development and where he sees for artist growth. And I think for the character that Vince has with and within and inside and outside of his music, having somebody like Snoop around could really help develop you more.
I don't know. All due respect to Snoop, but I think Vince is very like keen on his team and like what he wants. I don't think he like. I mean, I'm 100% sure he respects Snoop, but I don't think he really cares to have Snoop's input on anything he does.
Yeah, I think Vince is very like tunnel vision. Like he knows what he wants out of this shit, and I won't be surprised. I don't think any of us would be surprised if he just say, "Yeah, this is my last album. Like I'm out."
I really
like,
want to say acting more.
I completely wouldn't be surprised if he did. Yeah. But I kind of feel like like we said, he's very intelligent, and I think has a sponge kind of characteristic to him that he just absorbs information. And I kind of feel like whether or not he stays in Def Jam, just having Snoop in that position at Def Jam till he leaves is something he can stand to grow and learn from.
It's ambitious.
Okay. Well, we'll get into the next one. The next one is Relay. Relay. Let me see here. Sorry. Yeah, it's Relay. Yeah. So, Relay features. It's produced by Hagler. Sorry, and another bouncy joint.
This one is like some.
The sequencing is great.
Good storytelling on this part. I like the storytelling on this one, and basically it's talking about motherfuckers committing robberies and taking off.
Yeah, over a fucking bouncy ass production that leads you into the skit that he had, the interlude rather from Earl Sweatshirt.
Yeah, it there's something it kind of gives not a Good Kid, Mad City vibe. I know we've said this of other. I forgot what the project was, but kind of Bad Kid, Good City vibes. If that makes sense. Bad Kid, Bad City. But I feel like we feel that, but I feel like this is more so a better representation of that by using the whole radio interlude because it gives you more of a soundtrack feel. Like it gives you like there's storytelling without storytelling in it. Which is really great, and it's not necessarily the sense of, oh, I'm going to give you a point A to point B. It's more, I'm going to provide you such vivid imagery that what I'm saying while I'm saying, you're going to see it. And it's not necessarily I'm giving you a character to follow throughout.
But it doesn't. So I wouldn't compare it to Good Kid or like YG's release because it doesn't have like that type of sequencing. It's a great sequence album, but it's not telling a concise story.
Yeah, no, that's why I said soundtrack as opposed to an actual story and not giving you a character and point A to point B.
The funny thing to me is that it's him basically like poking fun at like what the radio does, right?
Mm-hmm.
But essentially it's a music playlist that he's making, but it's just like basically Vince like was like, yo, if I was a program director of this radio station, like this is what the music gonna sound like anyway. It's gonna sound like niggas dying, like somebody got left, somebody got hurt, like just black pain over happy ass beats, and that's what I think it is. So like, that's pretty funny.
And there's kind of a numbness to it.
Yeah,
there's a numbness to it because he's telling these darker, like Taurian said, he's telling these darker stories over these beats, and then also they're playing them supposedly on the radio, but everybody is just like
dancing, shaking ass.
Yeah, big boy on the radio, like this is coming up next. Like it's like a fucking like bizarro world. Like they're just delivering these bad things, but in these glossed up ways that people can digest them.
Yeah, and adding the big boy, it's like somebody adding an Angie.
Yeah, exactly.
On their,
Yeah, exactly. This, like I said, it leads into the skit from the interlude from Earl, which is like a preview of like a new Earl song, and like he talked about losing his pops on that interlude. Very short, very sweet. I don't know if you guys had anything to add to that one.
Immaculate. I mean, anytime you get to hear Earl rap, it's pretty dope. It was just a cool concept. I think the duality of the two artists that he chose for his interludes is very dope. That's what I really think is, and I guess I'll wait to get my full thought after we hit the next interlude. We go to the next interlude.
Okay, so the next song rather is "Run the Bands," which is produced by Hagler. Gives me this Juicy J type vibe.
Yes.
Yeah, the chorus and the beat. I feel like Juicy J would have went off on this shit.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree. I think the best part of this song is it kind of builds up the energy for the next song, which is more of one of my favorite songs on the album of it. And I definitely feel like it's such a great transition when you come from a serious Earl moment. And the way Earl raps is so technical and more, I don't want to say lyrical miracle because that's not Earl, but at the same time is, if that makes sense. So it's a great transition to hear, okay, that's the interlude, and then boom, we go into this that has this bop, but now we're really going to get into it in the next one.
Okay. So into the next one is Fun. And it's a lot of what you talked about, but Fun for me is, I don't know, at this point, like when I listen to it, I see why. Have you guys seen the criticism of Vince being like using the same type of production or sounding like he raps on the same type of beats?
Yeah, I've seen that, and I get it, but I think that's just like his comfort zone, and it's cliche because we said it a bunch of times, but I just think he really don't give a fuck. Like when you like he says like the hook of the song, what is it? We don't want to fuck nothing up. Like it's just like I think he just really don't give a fuck. Like I think he has like a goal in mind, like something to achieve, and like he's out. Like he says it multiple times. Like my only job is to keep my sanity in this business.
Yeah,
I feel like and
this one features E40.
Yes,
Walter,
which was great too, and I think added to the tone of it. But the biggest thing I think about Vince is I don't think Vince makes music for anybody but Vince. I think Vince makes the music he would enjoy to hear, and we're just happen to be lucky that we enjoy it as well, and that's how he feels. Is like, yo, y'all gonna like what I do because I like what I do, and y'all gotta deal with it.
That's why a lot of his music is so central. Like it's so like based in where he's from. But I like this song. I like this song, but I do feel like I would love to see Vince work with other producers, and I'm curious to see what his sound would be like if he was with Pharrell. Like imagine him with Pharrell making an album.
I would love to slap the shit out of Vince.
Damn it! That's what I wanted to say just now. Was Tyler? Tyler is who I want to see.
Tyler,
entire project.
That'd be great. That'd be amazing.
Or even just other people. Like I'd love to hear Mellow Hype or Left Brain produce.
Loud screech like no, and smack shit out of Vince.
Yeah, I think
Don't play me, cuz.
I think Vince and Tyler would be amazing. I mean, I'm sure they got some shit brewing because they just finished this tour together.
They on tour, yeah. So we'll see.
But yeah, so Fun is followed by No Bleeding. What we think?
I think that this is a dope collaboration. Isn't the feature on this one? Isn't it J-Rock?
No, this is
No, I'm
Kamaya,
sorry.
isn't it?
Kamaya.
it's
I'm
Kamaya.
sorry.
Yeah.
The feature on this one is Kamaya. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. My
It
bad.
is Kamaya.
So I think it's dope how like pretty much like how Vince Staples says like "cuz" a lot, and then like Kamaya comes on and like her first verse is like basically talking like a blood, right? Like what's bracking, like you know what I'm saying. So I think that was dope because like they not supposed to be on a song together.
Yeah, the union.
Have you noticed the transitions in the song also kind of seem like different areas?
Yeah,
of
hers went more a little bit more
California.
hyphy.
Yeah,
hers went more northern
But
California.
it's right
Maybe
after
SoCal.
you do the E40 song too.
Yeah.
Then
The
we're gonna
placement.
get into that. The placement
Placement,
of
yeah.
this, it sounds like not only a radio station, it also sounds like you're driving through, the different counties or different cities in California.
Okay.
That's a really good point out. I really enjoy Kamaya. I think Kamaya is like
One of the most underrated in the game.
She's so fucking underrated. Her melodies are so great. I believe she came out a mixtape that I love. I think it was called Good Kid of the Ghetto or something like that. I forget the exact name, but Kamaya is amazing. If y'all listening, if y'all haven't checked her out. So No Bleeding is followed up by the Tiger Skid.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm on record not being a Tyga fan, but also admitting Tyga stays with a hit and Tyga knows where to be Tyga. This is one of those, Tyga just had to be Tyga, not even overly, because it sounds like the intro to a track, really, like the track's about to begin and then cuts off. But because I understand the sound Tyga brings and how West Coast it is, why it fits right into where it is on here.
Yeah.
And that, like, as much as I'm not the biggest Tyga fan, he really is very good at knowing what to do and radio hits and where to get in. And that leads to what T was about to say about the whole interludes things and the dynamic between the two different interludes he had.
Yeah, it's a duality of kids of their generation from California. So you have someone like Tyga who is kind of like the popular kid, right? Like that was probably the popular kid in high school, probably was known, probably a lot of girls go and hang out with the Kardashians, go into the hills and shit like that, right? Then you have the kid like Earl who probably, hung out on Venice Beach, learned how to skateboard and stuff like that, like black music, but also like, rock music. And still wound up hanging out with the Jenners and the Kardashians, right? But like they all got their different ways, but like they all wind up being friends with the Jenners.
Yeah.
But it's just a duality, of it, like from like how the kids are. Like one is an introvert, one is an extrovert, and it's just these two cool. Like I just think their personalities they contrast so much, but it just was so dope to like bring them together. And I just, and the fact that Vince has worked with both of them is dope too. Like it shows his versatility.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So this one is followed by another skit. It's the number 562-453-9382.
Right. So that's that's to call the station up. And the funny thing is that before the project came out, he put up something on Twitter with that number for like his fans, and they couldn't figure it out. They were like, "What the fuck is this?" But it was like you could call it, and it will be Vince talking.
Oh, that's did you try and figure out the 7 famous people with V names in 7 seconds?
I did try to think about it, and so I always tried to wonder too, though, outside of that, like why he put this on here. Like, is he trying to strive to be one of those names that people think of in his city, or like because he, the premise obviously is Big Boy like challenging somebody to think, to think about what if they can name 7 people that start with a V, and then dude named Vanessa Williams and like couldn't think or whatever. But like I was like, yo, like why did he put this on here? Like why is he trying to?
I think it's to make the point of look at it, no matter how far he's come, he's still not the first 7 names you think of famous people with a V, and you're listening to his project,
right?
And I think, but I think also it's as to why Vince isn't as big as Vince could be so far, it's because Vince doesn't give a fuck. And I think that skit proves it. Yo, I don't care if you guys consider me famous or not. I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to make my money. I'm smart enough to know how to make my money and live and continue to keep my sanity.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's get in and get out. He's like, yo, I'm here. I'm going to make my bread. I'm going to do it my way, not worry about you guys. And that's all I have to worry about. I don't need this famous shit. I don't need this extra shit. Because you're right. I thought about it right away. I was like, well, why didn't anybody just say Vince?
Yeah. So the album concludes with Tweakin'. Tweakin' is produced by Kilogram and Kenny Beats.
So this song, did you guys hear the song that he has with Mac Miller called Guns N' Roses?
Mm-hmm.
So this reminds me of that song. It's like very reminiscent, and it made me think about this song. And my mental discography of Mac Miller songs isn't that like vast, because like, I've listened to his entire projects and then like just take it like as a collection, but like that song stood out to me a lot. So when I heard it, I was like, oh shit, like this makes me think of that. And I don't know, it just does it give me those vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I think when he does that, it's with purpose. I think when he goes back and speaks about what Mac means to him and what Mac meant to his career, you can kind of see how much, he really did influence Vince for the long term. Like, Vince credits his career popping off and where he's at just because Mac took him on tour. Because Mac convinced him, yo, I can actually do something with this music thing. And to speak in their camaraderie, I feel like all those artists that used to do the Mac sessions have all come out, and just had nothing but praise in the similar light. It's like, yo, I didn't see things this way until, I went and go to hang out with Mac. Mm-hmm. From Anderson .Paak, the Black Hippie Crew, Tyler, all of them. Like, everybody was like, wait, why is Mac mentioned on, was it Not No Interviews, where Kendrick started calling everybody out?
Control.
Like, I think a lot of people up until that point had truly slept on what Mac meant to the music scene.
Because he's white.
Yeah.
People don't ever give white rappers a chance.
I think they do.
They don't.
I mean, Jack Harlow's getting a chance.
No, he's not. Not according to Reggie's cousin.
Yeah, but that's one thing. He's definitely getting a chance.
Yeah. I feel
he's
like
out here.
I love Jack Harlow, but according to Reggie's cousin, Jack Harlow's music is just okay. I hope listening to this without Val.
Oh, your big cousin?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're wrong. Don't be tall for nothing like your cousin.
Shut the fuck up with that, please. Anyway, so we cap off the album. 11 tracks, short and sweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Takes us in a lot of different areas, all within Long Beach and different avenues of Cali. How do we feel about this album? Start with you, Danny.
I love this project. I love that it's 22 minutes. I love that it feels like a simple playlist. I love that it's featuring only West Coast artists from different regions. I love that it starts very hook heavy and middle hook heavy and end hook heavy, but there's still those moments where he's just going off, where it's not necessarily about the hook. I love that it starts off with the R&B feature, kind of, with Ty Dolla $ign, and then ends with the Kalani R&B feature, because that makes it feel way more radio friendly than anything. And the fact that we still probably would never hear any of these songs regularly on the radio if we're not on the West Coast.
Yeah. And what's your rating?
I give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
All right. So I really, really, really love this album, and I really, really love Vince Staples. I give this album a 3.5 out of 5. And the reason why I give it a 3.5 out of 5 is because even though it's a conceptual project, and I'm a sucker for conceptual projects, a lot of the songs, like some of the songs are identical, like as far as like the subject matter. Like, so it's like he's getting a point across, and I think that's why the project is so short. Why it's 22 minutes, and maybe it should have been an EP, but for that, like it loses points with me. So it's kind of like, all right, he's kind of telling the same story. Maybe same stories in the same day or some shit like that. But that's like what like takes it there for me. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy this album like tremendously. The funny thing is when I reviewed this album when it came out on FKBOnline.com, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. I did give it a 4 out of 5 waffles, but listening to it now, I kind of realized like, okay, there was something that was missing here, and it kind of left me wanting more. So like that's why I knocked it down a notch.
Quick question: do you think that's purpose to make a statement about the stature of radio or how radio is structured at this point? That he specifically made songs that sounded the same, started it off with an R&B hook, ended it with an R&B hook, and maybe it's part of the whole concept altogether.
I'm 100% sure that's why he did it, but that's why I still give it 3.5.
Okay, just for you,
it's like he's making an album, and I was like, I'm like, okay, give me more.
I think for me, I'm gonna go with a 3.5 too. I don't hold that much against it with the sound being so similar and being the same like throughout. I like that he leans into that. I like that he's mastered his flow and his production and the kind of artist that he is. I just want Vince to going forward, I just want him to lean into getting more experimental, actually. As much as I like this, I just want to hear him with other production. But I think this worked for him. I just don't... there are a lot of things on here that get a little repetitive, especially with... it gets a little challenging that he works with Kenny Beats throughout because a lot of the songs bleed into each other in a way that I don't think was intended.
Agreed.
So 3.5 for me, 4 for you, right? 3.5 for you. All right, so we can conclude with that. I'm First Class Regg.
I'm Taurian B.
We out of here.
Talk to you guys later.
In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.